Internet. This is Logan back again with another ancient video game tech demo. Here we are outside and we have non-cubic geometry and a fixed vertical axis. The environment is encoded in a 2D image with the height packed into the alpha channel of each 32-bit color value. And I do not remember where I got these maps from, so if anyone recognizes them, please let me know so I can add a proper attribution. Anyway, we don't have a full 4D or 3.5D world here that allows free rotation in any direction like in the last video, but what we can do is stack 2.5D worlds next to each other and step through them in a kind of long Earth scenario. All by itself, this would be a decent way to implement a kind of 4D video game, stepping between worlds to get around 3D obstacles. But I don't love the way it ends up making the fourth dimension special. A big reason why the maze demo in the last video lacks gravity was because I really wanted to emphasize that all four spatial dimensions are indistinguishable, and there's no preferential grid orientation either. You can rotate the view to any angle, just like floating around in real-world 3D space. Whereas world stepping keeps your viewable hyperplane at a fixed angle all the time. World stepping also gets you problems with invisible misalignments, where you might get blocked by an invisible wall or end up stepping out into empty space where the ground level in neighboring worlds doesn't match up, and I don't love that. For this demo, you're flying anyway, so I just have it automatically adjust your altitude to be above ground level if you ever shift below it. Reintroducing gravity, though, does simplify the control input issue. With a proper 3.5D map and a fixed vertical axis, you could turn left and right or ana and kata, and that only requires 4 buttons. I was a bit surprised when I dug this code out again and discovered that it is not actually doing exactly what I thought I remembered it doing. That is 3D raycasting over a Heightfield. Rather, it is doing something much more clever, closer to the sort of 2.5D raycasting you see in games like Wolfenstein 3D. So it only has to cast 1 ray per screen column instead of per pixel, but you still get this much more detailed 3D effect with proper altitude variation. And unlike the maze demo, this is running entirely on the CPU, which is why the resolution and frame rate are not great by modern standards. If I recall correctly, this technique was originally used in flight sims, which is why I do not have it pinning you to the ground for walking around. What it actually does is cast a ray per column across the Heightfield grid up to a maximum render distance and checks the height value for each cell as it goes. Based on that, it calculates a top screen position for that cell and draws the same color from that point down to where it runs into the last drawn pixel. So closer cells have their colors drawn near the bottom of the screen, and farther cells have their colors drawn higher up, down to the positions of those closer cells. Keeping a consistent vertical axis is an inherent limitation of this algorithm, but that's fine if the end goal is to be walking around under gravity anyway. Packing the height field into the alpha channel also severely limits the dynamic range of altitudes. Switching over to a 3D height field, though, I'll probably need to ditch the color channels and go back to procedurally generated textures in order to keep the memory consumption reasonable, and that could open up the possibility of devoting more precision to the height field, even as it goes up in dimensionality. There will probably be one more of these tech demo type videos before I go back to mainly linguistics content. So subscribe if you feel like it. Okay, bye.